What's up? What's happening? Welcome in. It's the Hoffman Show. Still to come, everything. We have preview all day long, all into just about half hour before the game tonight. Commanders and Patriots. We'll be joined in half an hour by JP Finley live from New England, where he is set for the preseason opener. That's basically it. 5:30 today, we will go around the NFL. Instead of previewing the preseason games, because nobody wants that, we'll use all the games that are happening and the 3 that happened last night as an opportunity to talk one storyline, one thing we're looking for throughout the rest of training camp for each and every NFL team. So we have plenty of football on the show today. Metal Chris in the chair for Anthony today. So Metal Chris likes to, if you're watching on YouTube, he likes to be just a big old booming voice with no face. So if you're watching on the stream, and just imagine Anthony Haney's smiling face, and then this big booming voice of Metal Chris. Chris, thanks for being here on a Friday, bud.
Yeah, no problem, man.
All right, so preseason football. What is there to talk about? I think the cynic in me is like, well, nothing. It's preseason. What? It doesn't matter. And by a results standpoint, it doesn't. You can go 3-0 or 0-3 in the preseason, and it doesn't affect your ability to win the Lombardi Trophy based off of the score. But to pretend like preseason doesn't matter at all is to completely miss the point. I think there's kind of 2 obvious buckets here for every team, and specifically for the Commanders. The Commanders are leaning heavier into one bucket than the other. The 2 obvious buckets are you have evaluation and you have preparation. From an evaluation standpoint, you are giving guys opportunities that they probably would not get, or you're basically hoping they do not get in the regular season. And you are saying, like, all right, let's give these guys more chances and see what they do in actual games. You are giving them extra minutes or extra snaps. You're putting them potentially in different roles, saying maybe you're a backup or a special teams guy in the regular season, but let's see what you've got. And then obviously you have guys that are trying to make the roster. So yeah, that's kind of like the position battle side of the evaluation. And then you have guys trying to make the roster. And that part is never lost on me. And it's definitely enhanced by the fact that I have worked with Logan for the last, God, when did we start doing Take Command? 4 years ago? I think we did something. Maybe we've done 3 years of Take Command, and we had another podcast during the preseason, actually, like 4 years ago. I don't even remember what it was called. But that was the first time we ever worked together, was doing some of that. But, like, Logan was a guy who was always on the fringe of the roster. Paulson was an undrafted free agent. And just like so many of these guys, I mean, obviously most directly, you want a tight end out of UCLA. How's Colson Yankoff for you? Colson, who made the team last year, is trying to fight for that 4th tight end spot. And frankly, right now, it feels like he's a lock to make the team based off of the early returns in camp. But we'll see how things go. And obviously, you got to stay healthy and the whole deal, knock on all the wood. But you have these guys that, as flippantly as we can talk about preseason, as people who are fans that care about, especially now that we have a team that we think can go to the Super Bowl in this city. So fans, media, however you want to draw the lines, like, it's harder to get juiced up for this stuff. But for these men that are going out there tonight, this is everything. Especially this first week, like this, there's some of these guys that are trying to fight to make sure that come Monday when they return to practice, or Sunday, whenever it is they return to practice, that they have a job still, that they have a chance to fight for. And at that point, like if you're on the verge of potentially getting cut with a bad game, you're probably not making the 53. You're probably looking at trying to get a practice squad spot, but that practice squad spot could be the chance that you need to continue to work with coaches and grow and get better. And then there's an injury, then you get your chance getting called up, and you never look back. Like, you just don't know where your opportunity is going to come from if you're fighting on the fringes of the league. And so just on a human level, I think that's a fascinating part of preseason. You get guys that are out there fighting for their football lives. There are people, Commanders, Patriots tonight, athletes on those teams and many others who, if this is it, like if they don't play well, this could be the last football game they ever play. Like, they get cut, they never get signed again, they don't make a camp next year. Like, this is life on the fringes of the NFL. So for those guys, good luck, salute, and I see you even if we're not going to talk about you a whole lot at the very end of the roster. There's also the preparation part, and this is where the Commanders aren't really leaning into this. And this is where I think the heavier debate is. And we can take some calls on what you're looking for tonight at 301-230-0980. It's 301-230-0980. It used to be preseason game. Well, first of all, there were 4 games in the preseason. And it was preseason game 1. You play like a drive, and you see your coaches talk about, well, we just want them to remember, how to go through warm-ups and put the helmets on and go out there and let's run a couple plays and then let's just call it a day. I don't know why all old football coaches all of a sudden are Southern, but sure, let's roll with it. So you have that. Then you have preseason game 2 where they would play like a half and then or a quarter maybe, and then it was 3, maybe into halftime. And it was like, oh, we want to get them to the feel of coming out for the second half, get a drive, and then we're going back. There's my old Southern football coach again. And that was thought to be the best way. And I think teams, 1, too many teams got burned with guys getting hurt from extended preseason action. And 2, I don't think they thought that it was necessary. And then 3, the other big shift that we see specific to Commanders Patriots tonight is joint practices became in vogue. And now if I can create a situation that is competitive against another team, so there's an amount of randomness and an amount of adjustments and an amount of all that stuff that you get in a preseason game when it's not all of a sudden your team as a head coach. If I really want to script up a period to give the defense fits, I can have the defensive coordinator work on X, tell the offensive coordinator to work on Y, knowing that Y crushes X, or I can flip that equation and I can engineer the outcome I want. And sometimes I might do that. Can't do that for another team on the other side. You can work with the coach to do something, but he's not going to have his side just get crushed on purpose. Some coaches might for weird motivational stuff, but like you want to work on being in the right stuff and game situations and quality. So what you get is that you get the quality and you can engineer certain situations where it's like, I'm not going to engineer my offense getting smoked, but I'm going to engineer a 2-minute drill where we're going to compete in that situation, because that's important to me. I want to work on situational football if I'm Dan Quinn, and I think situational football is really important. And by all of the available data, I am very correct on that. And the emphasis that I put on situational football may or may not have helped us make the NFC Championship game last year. I can engineer those situations while limiting the reps, understanding that we're going at a practice tempo where there's less likely to be injury, we're not tackling to the ground, and my quarterback gets to wear a magic shirt where he can't get hit. And if I can do all of that and not risk injury to my most important player and really lessen the injuries potential, it's really, you're not 100% on the quarterback, but significantly decrease. And decrease with some significance as well everybody else, why would I play them in the preseason? I do think that the one, like, if I think about what to watch for tonight, the number one thing I have written down is the running backs and the linebackers. And I don't anticipate Brian Robinson playing. I don't anticipate Austin Eckler playing. But all the other running backs, literally all of them, are fighting for at least a practice squad spot. I think Jeremy McNichols, Chris Rodriguez, and Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, a.k.a. Beal, they are fighting for a roster spot. And because the running game is really hard to judge in practice because they don't tackle to the ground, these preseason games become important in those evaluations. More live pass protection stuff for the running backs as well, somewhere where a guy like McNichols has made a name for himself in the league over the years as a reliable running back beyond just running the football. So the linebackers, obviously the inverse of that, guys like Kane Madrano, who if this was NFL flag, like he'd be awesome already, but can he actually tackle? That is the major question. A guy who is a converted offensive player, we will see. So those are some of the things that you're looking for tonight. Some of these positions, when you talk about the evaluation and the preparation piece, I think it's exceptionally important to get some preseason reps to actually do live football stuff, because otherwise you're going to just start the season slow and sloppy. And I think the tackling typically has been bad in the NFL over the first month for the last 5 years, partially because teams don't do it in training camp and less guys that actually are playing minutes once we get to the regular season are playing in the preseason. But if you want to try to shortcut that and start faster, and especially if you're a guy who's trying to make the team, some really important stuff that we will see tonight, albeit it's stuff that's probably on the margins compared to, hey, how's Jaden Daniels playing when we get in the middle of October, November, and certainly December and January. All right, when we get back, what are you watching for tonight? What's important to you? 301-230-0980 is the phone number. 301-230-0980. And then JP Finley joins us at 4:30 here on The Hoffman Show. JP Finley joins us in about 15 minutes here on The Hoffman Show. We are on the Team 980, the Odyssey app, iHeartRadio, YouTube, TuneIn Radio. I feel like I should just start jumbling those. I should start juggling all the different places. Or I should just say the same thing every time like I'm supposed to. Anyway, happy Friday. Man, it's a burgundy and gold game day. Forgot to say that in the opening segment, but it is. It is time for the Commanders to open their preseason tonight in New England. And we are looking ahead to the game tonight with you. Who are you looking forward to watching? What are you looking forward to watching? 301-230-0980 is the phone number. 301-230-0980. 0980 is where you call and share your thoughts on those things or anything else on your Commander's mind. We got a couple of spots in the show to take calls today. So you can call in now, or we'll actually have some time at 5 o'clock. JP is technically going to be our Not My Beat guest today. Just we have to work with his TV schedule. Fancy TV guy. So he'll be with us at 4:30 and 5 o'clock. We will take your calls and talk about the game this evening. As for some things that I am watching for tonight, I think one thing, and Standig, I think, was the one who brought this up. It might have been Mitch. We've had great guests this week. Definitely check out the podcast if you have missed it. But one of the things that I think is really worth watching tonight is when these guys play and how long they play, especially amongst the, let's call them projected 53 participants, right? So if there's a guy that you think is going to play like a significant role for this team, and all of a sudden he's out there in the third quarter tonight, that guy needs to do some work to be the guy that, or to earn the role that we think he should have. And I hate to single out anyone, so I'm trying to think of some other examples of guys who might be in that spot. But actually, I'm just going to say the two that I think. I'm just going to say the two that probably are on most people's minds. And two guys that I get asked about maybe more than any others. And that's Ben Sinnott and Luke McCaffrey. Sinnott has had an okay training camp. He, I think a lot of people think, has not been as good as Colson Yankoff, the, of course, undrafted free agent who also came out in last year's draft. And, like, what's his role on this team? Because he's definitely going to play some special teams. You'd hope he's a bigger part of the offense in year two. You know, he's kind of the backup pass-catching tight end, although he can do some blocking, but he's nowhere near the inline blocker, certainly, that John Bates is. And so what role can Sinnott carve out? How much is he going to get used? And I think a good test of where he is on the depth chart is how deep he plays into the game tonight. Like, is he 2 series, 1 quarter, and out midway through the second? Like, is he he's going to start, I would imagine, at tight end, him, Bates, starting together, if you will, at tight end. Then how long is he in? And then obviously Luke McCaffrey, same thing. Like, McCaffrey has been spotty in camp. He has definitely made some plays. He has probably been, unfortunately for Luke, playing out of position because they need someone to play outside because Terry is not there. And so what role does he play tonight? Does he start outside? Does he start inside? And then I think this is the thing with the receivers is because you can rotate their roles. If he starts outside, let's say, and then moves inside or starts inside, but then, he's playing in the third quarter, but he's playing a bunch of X or Z outside. Okay, well, that's not the worst case scenario for Luke McCaffrey because they're just trying to give him the extra reps. And this is where, when you are going back to the first segment, when you're trying to balance the preparation and the evaluation, Luke McCaffrey, for him, if you want to add a third thing, preparation, evaluation, I'm trying to think of a U-ation way to say this, but we're just going to go with the proper word here, and that's development. So you can use this as an opportunity for Luke McCaffrey to become a better football player. Hey, Luke, we're going to really focus on this. Go do it. Luke, we're going to focus on this. Go do it. And same thing for Sinnott. And so for those two guys, how deep into the game they play, I think is definitely part development, but it's also definitely an evaluation for us to say, oh, they're playing deep into the game. That I don't necessarily think that means their roster spots are in trouble, but they're cruising to be deeper on the depth chart than we would have liked in year two. And that's less of a big deal for Luke as a late third-round pick. Like, if he's a rotational guy that can reliably block and is playing 15 to 20 snaps a game behind Noah Brown, Terry McLaurin, Deebo Samuel, and if Jalen Lane pops early, great. Like, if Luke McCaffrey's wide receiver 5 and is a good special teams player and his athleticism shows up on teams and his willingness to do stuff, even though he probably isn't the world's greatest tackler, I would imagine, because he was playing quarterback 3 years ago, that's honestly fine. It's not a failed draft pick. If you have a second-round pick in Ben Sinnott, and I hate this for Adam, but, like, realistically, this is how you have to judge transactions, is, like, Sinnott was a part of the Cooper DeJean trade. He wasn't the only part, but he was a part of the Cooper DeJean trade. And if he doesn't develop into at least someone that makes some plays, like, it's okay, I think, for Ben Sinnott to be inconsistent in year 2, but I want the highs to be high. And unfortunately, most coaches don't actually operate that way. Most coaches are like, hey, if you don't play consistently, I'm not going to give you a chance to have high highs because your butt's not going to be on the field. And so I think for those two guys, we're going to have a better understanding tonight of just what the staff thinks of them and where they are on the depth chart. On the other side of the ball, the two guys that I'm most intrigued by are the two linebackers who I think will play deep into the second half, and that's Dominique Hampton and Kane Medrano. And for those guys, they need the experience because Kane converted offensive player, obviously, a couple years ago. And then, he's very, very raw, but super athlete coming out of UCLA this year. And for Hampton, he redshirted last year, so he's basically played no NFL football. He had a good preseason game last year against the Dolphins and has been banged up. And then, once he got healthy, he was inactive every game on purpose because they were converting him and they were, saying, hey, man, work on your body, work on these other things instead of being ready to go on Sundays. And that was how they thought to best spend their time. Hampton is a guy that might wind up playing a ton of Mike linebacker tonight. So, like, we get to see his intelligence. Can you call the defense? Can you get people organized? Or just you got guys running into each other? Does it look like there's a bunch of missed assignments? So I think that's going to be really interesting. And part of the reason that those guys are going to play so many snaps tonight is because who else is going to do it? There's a couple guys beneath them on the depth chart who are extraordinarily unlikely to make the roster. But because Jordan McGee is out and because Bobby Wagner, is Bobby Wagner and Frankie Louvu is, Frankie Louvu is not Bobby Wagner, but he is Frankie Louvu, right? An established vet who doesn't need the preseason. He ain't gonna play tonight. I'm sure he'll play in some in the second game, but he's not playing tonight. Then they're kind of the first, the second, and the third string. If third stringers are guys that are fighting for roster spots and special teamers, and your fourth stringers are your guys that are trying to just make the practice squad, and your first stringers and your second stringers are guys that are actually going to play in games, like, the linebacker room is thin enough that there's not really a second string, and that's not just unique to the Commanders. That's kind of across the NFL. Your first stringers are definitely not playing. And then the other quirk, this is unique to the Commanders and why Medrano and Hampton probably wind up playing a ton, is your other depth piece at linebacker is Nick Bellore, but Nick Bellore is like 35, 36 years old and is really not a linebacker. Like, he technically is a linebacker, but he's a special teams player. To the point that that Ben Standig in his projected 53 did something that I thought was smart, which is instead of listing Nick Bellore in the linebacker room, he said there's 4 specialists on this team. There's a punter, there's a kicker, there's a long snapper, and there's Nick Bellore. And so I think that's going to be pretty interesting to watch tonight. There's a couple of other guys, secondary-wise that I think are interesting. Obviously, Tyler Owens. I want to see Percy Butler play really well in this game. I talked with Logan on Take Command the other day about how I want to see Percy Butler kind of be dominant. Like, I want to see Percy Butler out there like, yo, I don't belong on this field. I belong resting with the starters. I want to see him take that kind of step. And if he's playing, he might only play a series or two. And if he's playing against twos, like, fine, that's a like on like. But I would love to see Percy Butler just prove that he's better than, maybe he's not a top flight starter, but like, hey, man, I could be a starting safety in the NFL. And that can be tough because the opportunities have to present themselves. But I definitely would like to see Percy flying all over the field, maybe get his hands on a ball, et cetera, et cetera. The other interesting things to watch for me tonight, rookies, how much are they going to play? I tend to think you're probably going to have 11, 12 guys on each side of the ball out. But if I tell you there's 11 out on offense, it's not going to be the starting 11 necessarily, because like B-Rob and Eckler, well, okay, there's 2 running backs. We know that Debo, or we're guessing Debo ain't going to play. And then Terry's obviously out. Noah Brown is out. Those 2 didn't travel, so there's already 3 receivers. So we got to have someone else. Look at right tackle. My guess is Josh Connerly plays. The guy that on defense I would guess might not is Trey Amos. Like, he's already earned his starting spot. He's definitely playing. You have some decisions to make at corner elsewhere, and you have enough depth on the roster at that position that he doesn't have to play. So I kind of think on the defensive side, you might not see Amos, who was the second rounder, but to get him some experience, especially because he's switching position. Again, this goes into the evaluation versus the preparation part. I kind of think it would be smart to get Josh Connerly a few series. Let's get him out there, see what he does, and roll from there. Also, who's starting at quarterback? It doesn't really matter, but like, is it Sam Hartman? Is it Josh Johnson? I'm guessing it'd be Johnson because he's the veteran, but also Hartman's been here longer. So we can ask that to JP Finley next, and many more other important questions about players that will ultimately make the team. JP joins us from Boston. Also what's the vibe up there? Up in, I shouldn't say Boston, Foxborough. They're doing the Brady statue tonight. That's a wacky bit. Why aren't they doing it in a regular season game? We'll ask JP that very important question, see if he has an answer. So Finley joins us next here on the Hoffman Show. Stompin' Show. We're on the Team 980. We're always live as well on the free Odyssey app, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, YouTube too, at the Team 980. Joining us now from Foxborough is JP Finley. JP, how has 3 days in Foxborough been?
Oh, brother. I mean, you've been up here. It's not exactly like a bustling metropolis. I've had dinner at the same place 2 nights in a row, but the food was good.
I say this, JP, not like in jest. I did not know there were restaurants in Foxborough.
So honestly, you wonder with what RFK is trying to build, the little area immediately surrounding the stadium is called Patriot Place.
Okay.
And it's got, there's a couple hotels. Imagine one Loudon if it had a football stadium,
okay,
like Reston Town Center. And then I'm actually staying at like a nubbier hotel, probably 10 minutes away, that is like legitimately just in the woods. Like B and I did our show from there today. He's like, "Where are we?" I was like, "Man, I don't know. A residence inn in the woods."
I was up there. Actually, ironically, I was up there one time, and it was for a preseason game. I'm sure you were there as well a couple years ago. What is that? Probably like 2016, 2017, somewhere in that. Brady was still playing.
Yeah.
And I just remember being like, it's there. It's like Buffalo and Orchard Park. There's a couple spots around the NFL where you're just like, why am I driving through a neighborhood to get to a football stadium? And there's literally like one road in, one road out. And so I did kind of chuckle when multiple of your beat colleagues decided to say, I'll go out for joint practice and I'm going to watch this one from home. I was like, that's not the worst decision that's ever been made. But they, JP, don't get to see the Tom Brady statue getting unveiled tonight. One, are you going to go to that? Two, why are they doing it ahead of a preseason game?
One, probably not. Actually, so I have a hit on Channel 4 at 6:09, and that thing starts at 6. Now, assuming that'll be a little bit of a song and dance and probably take a little while, I might walk over there. It's pretty neat. As for the why do it for a preseason game, I asked the same question, and the best answer I could come up with is they just wanted Jaden Daniels to be here for it. That is not a real answer, obviously. I think, honestly, I think it's just Brady's schedule is nuts, and he's calling games for Fox on Sundays, and, I kind of get the feeling, and this is talking with some Patriots people, that, like, Brady, not that he doesn't love his time here and everything, but I think he's kind of turned the page in his career. I mean, first he went and won another Super Bowl in Tampa, and now he's a part owner of the Raiders. I can't imagine he still lives in New England. You know what I mean? So I think he's like, listen, I can lock in this Friday night, and let's just do this, and I'm happy for the honor. I bet, B and I were joking about this, I bet Brady is gone before the start of the second quarter, if not earlier than that. Like, I don't think he's sticking around long.
Yeah, I also think he probably has a way to get in and out of town that's more efficient than that one road that I was talking about earlier. JP Finley's with us. B. Mitch and Finley is, of course, his radio show, 10 to 2 each day on 106.7 The Fan, which you can listen to and watch in all the same places that you can get our show, except for YouTube. You have to go to their channel instead of ours, because otherwise you'll be watching Kevin Sheehan, which would look very different. JP also, of course, NBC4. You can catch him on TV previewing the game tonight. All right, as for the Commanders of it all, JP, first of all, just this is more note-taking than anything. Do we have any idea who's starting at quarterback tonight? We know it's not Jaden Daniels. We know Marcus Mariota didn't travel. Do we know which Sam Hartman or Josh Johnson is going to start and why?
I believe it's Hartman, but I don't know that definitively. But I believe it's Hartman. And it's my understanding that, those two, Hartman and Johnson, are going to play the whole game, that it's going to be much more of like a rotation rather than Sam gets the first half and Josh gets the second half. I think because there's kind of a legitimate third quarterback battle between those two, that they want to, as much as they can, like level the playing field of who gets to play with who. So, stay early on in this thing. You've got some players out there that will be part of the 53. They want to let both guys get some work with them. And then later on in this game, as it's guys that maybe are practice squatters or what have you, Sam and Josh will play with those guys as well. So I think it's going to be interesting. I don't know that it's going to be like in every other series, but I think we're going to see some back and forth that probably isn't all that customary.
That's very interesting. I can't remember seeing that. I'm sure it's happened, but that is definitely interesting from the evaluation, not only of those two, but of the guys around them. Speaking of, I talked a few minutes ago, JP, about how the two guys that I don't want to say they have the most on the line, but like who I'm probably the most intrigued by on the offensive side are Luke McCaffrey and Ben Sinnott. And I feel like they were easy punching bags all off season because of what they did, or more specifically did not accomplish in the rookie years. But if you told me those guys are playing in the second half tonight, I'd be like, that's not great for them, but I wouldn't be surprised. What are your expectations for those two second-year players?
So I want to address kind of the punching bag thing first, because I agree with you. I think both those guys caught a lot of heat maybe from the fan base. I think it's pretty unfounded. Like they were contributors to a top 5 NFL offense that went to the NFC title game. Now, did they have like the statistical production that showed that? No, but Sinnott blocked like a dog. McCaffrey played tough. I think you'd like to see more offense out of Sinnott, but what does that mean? Are you taking Zach Ertz off the field more? Because he's been dominant. Right. Ertz looks better this camp than he did last camp, and he's a third down red zone machine. So, like, I don't understand that philosophically. Like, oh, well, you got to get him on the field. Like, if the other guy's great, don't you want him out there? And then Bates is clearly their top blocking tight end. And so that's McCaffrey, I think the adjustment to NFL wide receiver took some time. I think he was a little, at times, maybe rigid. And I think they're hoping – I asked it. Cliff, maybe Mitch asked him the other day. Somebody asked him about McCaffrey. And Cliff is not a blow smoke kind of guy. Like, Cliff shoots it straight at all times. And he said he's been really impressed by Luke, how much cleaner he looks in and out of routes and stuff. And, you know, we've all been at camp. There hasn't been a ton of production for him at camp. But I also think he's playing outside a lot right now with Terry not there. And I think inside is a better place for him. I don't think we see those guys playing in the second half. I do agree with you. If we see that, it is not the best news. But, like, I find it hard to believe we will. But, you know, that's why they play the game. We'll find out.
We will. Game, of course, kicks off at 7:30 tonight. JP Finley joining us from New England. Specifically for the receivers, you talked about the rotation of the quarterbacks, which would be unorthodox. Rotating receivers is what happens every week in the NFL. But if you have a guy like McCaffrey, like what has DQ said, or Cliff, or anybody else that you've been able to talk to about how they'll utilize these guys in the preseason? Because you obviously have extra reps available. Your starters aren't playing. Terry's not here anyway. But, you know, if you're a guy like Luke, you kind of got to play some outside because someone's got to do it. But also, you're probably looking to play more inside in the regular season. What's the discussion been, and how have they also been balancing that through the practices?
What's interesting, I mean, specifically with that kind of stuff is like, you know, Debo's this weapon that's in the slot sometimes. And then Jalen Lane is kind of forcing his hand to be in the slot sometimes. So does that kind of change a lot for Luke and his role? As far as the receivers tonight, I mean, we're going to see plenty of guys, you know, like Strachan, who I've been told is actually pronounced Strawn, which is remarkable considered spelling. Ja'Cory Brooks, Gallup. We're going to see a lot of guys tonight. I think, you know, I don't know. I mean, the guys you see late in this game is probably fairly telling of where they stack up, but the receiver room, or the receivers today, considering you don't have Terry, obviously, Noah Brown's not here. So, like, they're down 2 already. So there's going to be a bunch of folks out there and, you know, trying to make plays and flash and see if they catch Bobby Ingram's eye, Cliff's eye. And I think when you watch practice and when we watched the joint the other day, not having Terry and Noah is making an impact. You know, the folks up here in New England got all jazzed up because Washington got held without a score in a red zone drill. But Jaden fired a couple passes into the end zone that would have been tough contested catches. But you know who's really good at tough contested catches is 17. So if they can get that done, I think it's pretty obvious there's a hole there.
Yeah, for sure. I also think that wide receiver 5/6 is pretty fascinating too. And part of that we get to see tonight, who lines up where on special teams. Like, are some of those guys you
Yeah.
mentioned out there on the opening kickoff? If so, that's a good sign for them in terms of what their special teams value is. But are there any of those guys for any particular reason that you think, like right now, if you were doing a silly radio exercise that perhaps you do, that I certainly do, of making a 53, that you would be like, I'd put that guy ahead distinctly because of that reason?
Well, I mean, let's just count them, right? Assuming all hell doesn't break loose. Terry, Debo, Brown, Luke, Jalen. I mean, those are draft picks in the last 2 seasons. So
Right.
then you're talking about a wide receiver 6, and Gallup maybe has a chance. Brooks, I think, maybe has a chance. But I'll throw a real wacky for you for our hypothetical radio exercise. If Bill Merritt shows tonight what we've been seeing in camp, what if they keep 4 backs? And
Yeah.
the way the practice squad rules are now, like, if you really like Ja'Cory Brooks or a guy like Michael Gallup that didn't play last year, you can have a veteran on your practice squad now.
Right.
Like, they could – and Venus always tells me this. He's like, yeah, you know, you get cut and somebody else can claim them, all those things. But, like, he's like, sometimes teams will just tell players or their agents, like, yo, don't answer the phone unless it's us. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and the plan is to bring them back. And I just wonder – if you want to keep 4 backs, and maybe you don't, maybe, you know, McNichol's spot is not nearly as secure or whatever, but I think with the way the practice squad rules are now, we get so obsessed with the 53, but these are like truly 70-man rosters now. You can elevate somebody Saturday night, and I don't think they're as stressed about wide receiver 6 in the new world that we have the hypothetical conversation surrounding. But ideally, one of these guys emerges, and it's not a tough question for him.
No, I think that's a great point. And it really comes down to, like, who do you think might get claimed, or do you have an agent or a player who's like, no, I'm not playing your silly game. Like, I'm not gonna, like, if you're not gonna keep me, I will go somewhere else. And obviously, if you're gonna get paid to be on a 53, that's an easy decision. But some guys will go on the practice squad elsewhere because they're salty or whatever. But because of the rules being the way they are, both in that you can call guys up, and I think it's up to 3 times before you have to elevate them, and you can do veterans. Like, I think that's a really good point. On the running back front, as JP Finley's with us here on the Hoffman Show, on the running back point, I haven't had a chance to do this scheduling stuff to come out and see it for myself, but everyone says that, like, Bill is the real deal. How much, like, why, I guess, JP, like, to ask it in the most simpleton way possible. Why is everyone saying that when we all know that running backs and running plays in camp are very hard to judge? What is he so distinctly doing that has everyone excited to see what he can do in a real football game, quasi-real tonight?
What stands out to me is the way he cuts. His vision and his cuts really, really look sharp. And he kind of can have this little jump cut, but he can still run with enough power. There have been some really impressive moments for Bill in Ashburn. But I will say, everybody was excited to see him Wednesday at the joint practice. And the only real play he made, the only real note I made about Bill in that practice was the ball landed on the ground. And it looked to me like a read option, and maybe the mesh point between he and Jaden wasn't clean, but it was his rep, and the ball was between him and Jaden, and the ball was on the ground. And so I do think something like that, and who knows, maybe that's a 0 out of 10. Maybe it was Jaden's fault. Maybe it was a screwed up play. Like, a million things could have happened, but, like, let's see what happens tonight before we anoint him. He's made some really exciting plays. But to your point, in practice, there was one play that went crazy, and I retweeted it, so maybe I'm part of the issue here. But there was a play where Merritt made a real nice kind of cut in the hole, and he does that really well. And then he got to the second level, and he kind of squared up with Tyler Owens for a pretty solid pop, right? That was a good little collision. But and then Merritt kind of won that collision and kept going. But in a game, Owens is coming in low and trying to take his feet out, and, like, that good little pop could have just been a tackle. Like, so you don't want to read too much into training camp stuff where nobody's tackling live.
Right, exactly. And we also will get to see like real pass protection tonight. It's easier to look easy or look good in pass protection unless you really blunder it when the quarterback can't actually get hit. We know that's a huge element as well. But going to be fun to see him play. And I mentioned this a couple times this week, but because he played just the one game for Arizona last year, I'm sure he is chomping at the bit to get to go tonight after having to sit out with the eligibility stuff last year. Just another couple of minutes here quickly with JP Finley. You can watch him on NBC4 tonight, top of the hour, 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock on TV. And, of course, check out his reaction to everything on the Beltway Football Podcast as well as on the radio show with B. Mitch on Monday. In terms of availability, JP, what do we know from the rookies tonight? Like, do we know if Josh Connerly is going to play, Trey Amos? Those are obviously the two big names. We know we'll see Lane and pretty much everyone else on down, but do we think we see the first-round pick and the second-round pick for the Commanders tonight?
I do think we see both those guys tonight. I think Connerly will go. I think Amos will go. Now, how much is that? I don't know. But I do think we see those guys tonight. And, I think there's been a lot of talk about Connerly. I think the vast majority of it is premature. I think Connerly looked pretty darn good the other day in practices up here in New England. And I think tonight's wouldn't you want to see 2 series of Connerly? And what we know offensively, like, we're not going to see Tunsil. I don't think we see Biotish. I don't think we see Wiley. I don't think we see Allegretti. So, like, somebody got to be out there. So I think your starting O-line is something like, Trent Scott, Julian Good-Jones, Dieter. I think Connerly's at right tackle, right guard. You got to play this game. He's a first-round pick, yes, but he's also working at a new position. So it's been told to me to expect him, but, these things are fluid too.
Yes, indeed. Amos is the guy that I actually would think maybe gets to sit out tonight. Like, he is so solidly starting opposite of Marshawn Lattimore. Yes, I do want him to continue to get reps, but I don't know how different his reps are going to be than a joint practice. And I don't need him, like, busting a collarbone trying to make a tackle. Like, to me, Amos is the guy that I would sit tonight.
I hear you. I wouldn't expect it, but I do hear you.
All right, fair enough. All right, last but not least, JP, a thought that got put in my head earlier today. I was talking to our guy Derek Forrest over from DC News Now, and he asked me this, and I thought it was a good question. Are we basically taking for granted Jaden Daniels at this point? Like, we haven't talked about him throughout this camp very much, at least on this show. I don't know how much you guys have. And every time we do, it's like, yeah, he's so good at football. Okay, now to this other thing. And it's year 2, and I'm not saying that analysis is wrong. I'm just saying that, like, we should stop down and appreciate it. Like, is he having that good of a camp that it's just like, okay, smooth sailing, no real questions? Or are we not necessarily talking about Jaden Daniels enough?
Dude, it's funny you say that because I think it was on the podcast. Mitch and I, we always get asked, like, oh, who's catching your eye at camp? And I make a point to say Jaden every time. I actually did a segment on All Ears where I talked about, I think Samerstill's playing well, Bill Merritt's turning heads. And I was like, but we've got to talk about Jaden because, yes, he looks excellent. He looks dynamic. Some of the throws he's making, some of the deep stuff, the Devo, and, I mean, that throw to Jalen Lane did not come down in bounds. As much attention was on the catch, the throw was incredible. And, I watched the joints the other day, and you had starting offenses on opposite fields, practice fields, and we just watched Jaden, and he was surgical, picking apart. Like, they weren't adjusting the line of scrimmage so these Pats fans could scream that they didn't get a touchdown because they just ran plays from, like, the 35. But say they ran 10 plays, dude, 7 of them would have been first down. And for all the talk of Bill Merritt and people are in a hurry to discount B-Rob ran the ball really well. And, dude, they rolled out we're not supposed to get formational, but, like, you're going to understand what I'm saying. If they're running 12 or 13 and you have Tunsil on one side and you can put 2 tight ends on the other side, the runs to the edges were 6-7 yards, no problem. It was pretty impressive to see.
When you have, I mean, that's the thing too, is it not necessarily in a practice. Although I guess, I mean, Jaden can run in a practice. They just can't hit him. But when you see what a good running quarterback does for a run game, and we see it in Philadelphia, we saw it here last year, like, and then you add good blocking and you add good backs, like it is so devastating because of how honest defenses have to be. And to see that happening in a joint practice in the preseason is obviously exciting. We'll see what they can do when they get to week 1 against the Giants. And Sam Hartman's probably not going to be as scary for the Patriots defense tonight. JP Finley, he's up there in New England. You can catch him on NBC4. And then are y'all going live Monumental app after the game, or are you gonna podcast this weekend?
I should know that answer, Hoff. I know it's a video podcast, but I don't know if it's live.
Okay.
We should be live on 4 in the 11 o'clock news, though, because I'm assuming this isn't like a god-awful preseason game that goes 8 hours.
Yeah.
The game should end 10:15, 10:30, and we should be able to get out there. But I don't know.
Right.
That's a good – ask Mitch.
We had him on, was it yesterday, 2 days ago? And I think he said that. So everyone, go in our podcast feed and go back and do whatever Mitchell Tischler said for the Beltway football of it all. JP, appreciate you, sir. Enjoy the rest of your time in lovely Foxborough.
No problem, buddy. Can't wait to get home.
All right, bet. That's JP Finley with us here on the Hoffman Show. All right, up next, you, 301-230-0980. 301-230-0980 is the phone number. I would like to know what you are watching for tonight. I've given you some of what I am looking for. JP has given you what he is looking for. So what are you looking for? 301-230-0980. We are taking your calls on a burgundy and gold game day next. Hoffman Show, hour number 2 here on the Team 980, the Odyssey app, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, and YouTube. That's you guys on the interwebs.
Hey, you there? You're up. You're hot.
301-230-0980 is the phone number. And taking your calls on what we're going to see tonight. Commanders and Patriots is the game. 7:30 is the kickoff. Coming up at 5:30, we'll go around the NFL and hit the rest of the games. And really, not so much about the games like we do in the regular season. We're not going to make picks. We're not going to do all that kind of stuff. We are simply going to give you a storyline on all of the teams. Apologies for the technical difficulties. We're ready to roll here, taking your calls in hour number 2 at 301-230-0980. That is where you call. Tell us what you're watching for tonight. Commanders and Patriots. Coming up at 5:30 again, we will go around the NFL. One story that we're following for each team in their preseason opener or in their training camp. We're not going to do game picks for preseason or anything like that. That would be tremendously silly. All right, let's get rolling. AP's in Laurel. He's been waiting patiently. AP, appreciate you. You are on the Hoffman Show.
Hoff.
What's up, buddy? How are you?
Hello.
We got you.
Can you
AP.
hear me?
I can hear you now.
All right now. I guess what I'm looking for tonight is I know you alluded to Amos not playing, but I feel personally like you're a rookie. You haven't arrived just yet, and even though they have the joint practices, I feel like players from the opposition are going to be fighting to make the team by showing what they can do in a live game situation. Even though it's a exhibition and it doesn't count, I still feel like he should get at least maybe 1 or 2 series just to kind of, really face the opposition in an in-game situation for players who are, in a sense, going to be desperate to make the team. And I think, even though the games don't count, it's still a preseason where you have to showcase your abilities in order to be looked at to make the team. So, personally, I think between Amos and a couple other players that look like they could be starters should still get some in-game reps.
AP, I'm fine with that. To be honest, it could go either way for me. I think because of Amos's importance to the team, if they were to be like,
right,
we're good, like we see it. And I think the other thing is this. Because you have joint practices, that is a game changer. Mm-hmm. Because the fact, and it depends on the position, right? If you are Johnny Newton, last year's second-round pick, who theoretically should be more eligible to not have to play tonight than Amos is this year's second-round pick because he's actually played NFL football. But because the trenches are so different and because it's so difficult to get true, real, live reps and let me time up this run and make a real tackle on a running back and take him to the ground. Let me get a real pass rush where I can give full effort. I feel like the preseason is more important. And look, they get juiced up in practice. They're going at a hard tempo, but it is different when you're allowed to go actually bring the guy down. Versus on the outside, how different really are the joint practice reps or your practice reps from a real game situation? Now, there's some, depending on the drill, right? Because if you're 7-on-7, your eyes don't have to really be honest to a run fit. You don't have to be like, oh, is this run or pass? So it's not like every rep is created equal. And getting in that mindset for a rookie is fine, or is certainly helpful. But I don't know that 2 series in the first preseason game is going to be the difference in Trey Amos's success in his rookie year or not. I do know that if he were to get hurt, that is going to be the difference in his success or not. And for that reason, I think with Amos personally, I would lean on the side of not playing him. But can't get, there's no guarantees. So I'm fine if you want to say I want to see him play a couple of series.
And it's one of those things where it's damn if you do, damn if you don't.
For sure.
Damn if he does play and he gets hurt, and it's damn, we should have sat him down. So I guess it's either way, you live and you die by the sword. But again, he's a rookie, and I feel like in an in-game situation, there are going to be some players out there that are going to be desperate, and who better to face against than a desperate player who's trying to make the team. And then depending on the opposition,
I will say this though, because
Amos
is going to play early in this game. He's not going to play against dudes desperate to make the team. He's going to play against guys that are second string, rotational, actual football players. So it's good experience. It's actually in some ways better. But all these guys that are out there are desperate to lock in their spots. So there is that.
And then obviously I know your producer alluded to also Ben Simmons. I definitely want to see a little bit more out of him too.
Yeah, I would love to see. I'm so curious to see how they use him, what he does. But I think JP made a really good point. if he's going to get a ton of reps in the regular season, where are they coming from? Because Zach Ertz, like, you taking that dude off the field when he looks better this training camp than he did last one, that's a hard sell as well. AP, appreciate the call as always. Thanks for chiming in.
Thank you.
All right, 301-230-0980 is the phone number. 301-230-0980. Yeah, the centerpiece is so interesting, and we'll continue to talk more about him as we go. While we're not going to do like game picks, we are going to bring back our pick 6 at 6 coming up at 6 o'clock, where we pick the 6 guys we are most interested in watching. And I will tell you, Ben Sinnott did make my list. But with him in the regular season, I think the optimal usage for him is you reduce Ertz's reps like 10, 15%. And that's going to hopefully keep him fresh. Now, he was great all the way through the NFC Championship game. It's not like he ran out of steam. But you want to ensure that can happen again. And you also open up more of your 2 tight end packages. And I think those become really important this year because unless another deep threat emerges, last year you had Diami on top of Terry, of a true speed guy to take the top off of defense. You're not going to have like the same speed as Diami Brown and Ben Sinnott, but he is really fast for a tight end. And if you have a linebacker on him, you can open up vertical stuff that way. You can push the top side of a defense. You can clear out. Let's say you're trying to hit Terry on a deep dig, right? Presuming that everything works out with Terry. I feel like you have to say that, knock on wood, blah, blah, blah. But you have Ben Sinnott lined up as a tight end to the left side. Terry is lined up wide to the left side. Terry's going to run 15 yards, hard square in cut, call it a dig route. And you need that safety that would be crashing down into that out of there. And it's whatever the coverage is that he would be watching Terry, right? If you can get Ben Sinnott screaming up the seam, that's a useful thing. That would be nice. If it's a believable, like, you better cover this guy, otherwise he's going to catch a touchdown pass for 45, 50 yards because Jaden Daniels will lay it on him, and he's fast enough that you're not going to catch him because he runs like a 4.5 something as a tight end. And he's got a slower guy chasing him. Like, that would be nice for this offense. And without Diami as a duplicate deep threat, some other way to stretch the defense, which is not Zach Ertz's specialty, I think it would be very helpful. And if you can do it out of 12 or even 13 personnel, where you have 2 or 3 tight ends on the field, that is typically going to get matched by the defense in heavier personnel. So you can get that linebacker matchup or a safety, but maybe it's like a third safety who's kind of more of a run support player. If you can get that kind of matchup, that would be very beneficial for Cliff Kingsbury to do. All right, here's what we got next before we go around the NFL at 5:30. Either you can keep calling us, and we'll continue to talk about the game tonight at 301-230-0980, 301-230-0980. Regardless, or I wouldn't say regardless, no matter what, no matter if we keep talking about it now with more calls or we go another direction for a few minutes, we will get back to the game itself, preview style, at 6 o'clock with our pick 6. You will also hear from Logan later in the show at 6:30, take command style. And then we'll go all the other games and all the other big headlines around the NFL coming up at 5:30. So next, either more of your calls at 301-230-0980, or we'll hit our weekend preview here on the Hoffman Show. The Hoffman Show. We are on the team at 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app. We are streaming on iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio as well, YouTube at the team 980. You can give us a call anytime at 301-230-0980. Also in the YouTube chat, let's see, got some people with what they are looking forward to tonight. Trey Amos, the strong safety competition. I don't think there is much of a strong safety competition. Like Will Harris and Quan Martin are two starting safeties. I do think like down from there, it's interesting. You know, what's the rotation like? Is it Percy Butler? Like how much Jeremy Reeves? How much Percy Butler? How much Tyler Owens? Like I think there's stuff to talk about the safety position, but like the starters are definitely the starters. Also, I will say this, Metal Chris, are you a gamer at all?
Like video games?
Yeah.
I wish I had the time to play them more. I played them a lot more when I was younger, but, you know, not so much these days.
You are someone who has children, so that does tend to take up some time, the whole parenting thing.
Yeah, and it's just, I go to a lot of concerts and things like that, and I just don't have the time. Like, to play video games, you got to play them a lot to actually get good at them. You can't just, like, kind of casually play them, you know?
I'm not talking about, like, online, you know, playing major minutes. Just, like, if you're chilling and you just got nothing to do, but, like, the idea of a parent with relatively young children having nothing to do, I realize is an antithetical statement. The point what I was gonna say is the new Madden is out, and I played it a little bit earlier on like the trial right now, and I know I'm gonna wind up getting it, but I hate it so far. Like really, I don't play online. I'm just like solo franchise mode, and I feel like the gameplay is booty. Like, in a way, like, the visuals, they did a great job. It feels more real in some ways. But I don't know that I like that. Like, the controls don't seem to match what should be happening. I'm not a big fan of it so far. It feels glitchy. So I'm curious to see if anybody has thoughts on that. Hit me on social media or drop a comment in the YouTube chat. That's probably part of how I might spend some of my weekend is seeing if I can not suck at the new Madden, because the early returns were not good. Meanwhile, the rest of our weekend preview, which is brought to you by nobody, still amazingly, after all these years, brought to you by nobody. Speaking of things that are not going well, the Nationals, they have lost 7 of 8 games. And the pitching staff has been historically bad outside of one really good outing from Cade Cavalli, who we might see on Monday against Kansas City. That's the next open spot, at least according to ESPN.com's listings of the starting pitchers, the predictions of them. Jake Irvin will be on the hill tonight. Start of a 6-game road trip, wrapping up in Kansas City, starting in San Francisco. First pitch at 10:15, which if we do the math, carry the 1, 0. That's a 9:45 Nats on deck tonight over on 106.7 The Fan. Busy WNBA weekend as well, including the Mystics tonight at Minnesota. They've got 2 this weekend. Alicia Clark's debut. I believe JC Sheldon is also debuting tonight. Sheldon, I'm less sure about. I haven't seen any JC Sheldon content on the Mystics social media pages, so she might not debut until Sunday in Dallas, which would be ironic. That is the team that drafted her initially. Now on her 3rd team in 2 years is the former 5th overall pick. But Alicia Clark will debut tonight. Of course, the Mystics making the big trade earlier on in the week. They are taking on the best team in the WNBA, who probably made the biggest trade in terms of the contenders at the deadline, adding Dejanay Carrington from Dallas. But no Nafisa Collier, the presumptive WNBA MVP, although Alyssa Thomas is making a case, out at least 2 weeks with an ankle sprain. Rest of the weekend preview for the Mystics. They have a game in Dallas. They'll take on Paige Beckers and crew on Sunday. That is a 4 o'clock tip. It's worth also mentioning these are teams that are fighting for if you're Washington, you are simultaneously fighting for the playoffs and the lottery. Washington is 5 games, quote unquote, ahead of LA, aka they have a 5-game better record in the 2-year rolling cumulative record that makes up your lottery odds. And that would be for the 3rd best odds in the lottery. The Sparks are 8-2 in their last 10. So LA is rolling, and if they can continue to roll and the Mystics take a step back without Brittany Sykes, then they could wind up with the 3rd best lottery odds by the end of this season. The Mystics and the playoff side of the rankings are 1 game behind LA and Golden State. Golden State holding the tiebreaker for the 8th and final playoff spot. So the Mystics currently in 10th. Storm versus Aces tonight as well. Again, the Mystics Wings game is on Sunday. Storm Aces tonight. Brittany Sykes makes her debut for the Seattle Storm. On Sunday, Lynx and Liberty, 12:30 ABC. No fee, no Stewie, so missing the stars there. And, of course, this game also now impacts the Mystics draft position because they have the pick swap between these 2 teams. They would like New York to continue to lose. That way they're not the second worst team or the second best team, but maybe like the 4 or 5 seed going into the playoffs and have a better draft pick. Dream Mercury, also a good one, 6 p.m. on Sunday. Washington Spirit and Gotham play Saturday, the NWSL's rivalry week. That your weekend preview. Metal Chris, do you have anything fun, exciting planned for the weekend? We do some sports weekend in our weekend preview, but then also we try to see what me and Anthony are doing. Do you have anything particularly fun on the docket this weekend?
I mean, I'm working, so I'll be working tomorrow night, and I'll be working a lot on Sunday over at 106.7, so I'm doing that. But try to spend some time with the kids tomorrow morning before I got to go in tomorrow night.
Nice. That's always fun. I was on uncle duty when I was in Ohio a couple weeks ago, and man, the weekend kid thing, that's you got to go find like a splash pad. You got to go find you got to have activities. That's what I learned. You must have planned activities or chaos reigns.
The big one right now too is the Maryland Renaissance Festival just put all their tickets on sale, and they always sell out, so you can't just walk up day of and buy them. So you got to get them ahead, and most of the days are still available now. But if you want to go and it runs through like October, I would suggest buying them now. It's a great thing to take the kids to. It's really fun. So.
Okay. What's your favorite thing at a Renaissance fair?
Oh, the jousting, man. They got people on horses that do real jousting and stuff. But you walk around and have a beer. They sell meat and beer and stuff there. And, the people are in costumes. My little girls love dressing up in their Frozen costumes because they get to be princesses and stuff. It's great.
That's great. I love that. Would you joust? Would you get on a horse and joust if given the opportunity?
I mean, you'd probably have to get some training and stuff, but I do. It looks pretty fun. I'm not going to lie.
See, I think a younger me would have been like, hell yeah. Now I'm like, no, that would hurt if it goes wrong.
It's not like the medieval ones where they're actually trying to hurt each other.
Right, of course. There's got to be some safety precautions, but are dudes falling off horses?
Oh yeah, they knock each other off and stuff. And they do some other stuff too. Where they'll throw a ring in the air and they got to run and catch it on the horse on their lance and things.
That I'm down for. Although
it's a whole show. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, I like jousting skills. I'm in for real jousting. I don't need to get hit in the chest with any kind of and fall off a horse. I say that also the last time I tried to go horseback riding, I was like, get me off of this horse. I'm not a I'm not a horseback riding person.
I like horses. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure I need to go. My wife rode horses when she was a kid, so I will, I'm sure, try again at some point in my life, and I will get either lessons and success from her, or made fun of by her mercilessly, and I'm just gonna have to live with either one. That's how that's gonna go. I got nothing going on this weekend, and I'm pretty pumped about it. I'm excited just to chill. Been doing too much recently. Need in the house. Maybe I'll go for a walk. That's I think what's on my weekend docket. Not nearly as exciting as a Renaissance fair. When we get back, the rest of the weekend preview is all of the football games. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna use the NFL's preseason Week 1 schedule. I will tell you who's playing who, and if there's anything significant that's fun to watch about any of these games. Oh, starters are playing here. Or watch for this rookie. Like, I'll give you a note. But the big thing I want to do is use that preseason schedule as a vehicle to talk about all of these teams. So it will be a rapid fire, something on every NFL team next here on the Team 980. Friday on the Hoffman Show. Team 980 live on the Odyssey app, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio as well. And you can watch us on YouTube at the Team 980. Coming up at 6 p.m., who are the 6 most intriguing commanders on the field tonight against the New England Patriots? I will share my list with you in a Pick 6 at 6 coming up at, 6. And then Logan Paulson's thought on who he's watching tonight and why. We'll go through every position quickly on Take Command, and that will send you on your merry way into the 7:30 kickoff this evening. But 5:30 on Fridays during the football season, we go around the NFL, and we're going to do that right now. But typically, we preview the games, we make picks, and that just feels dumb for the preseason. So we're not going to do that. What we are going to do is give you a couple of storylines for each team and kind of what we're watching in general for this week one and heading into week one of the regular season. So week one preseason into week one of the regular season. So with that, Chris, we can hit the music and off we go into our Around the NFL preseason week one edition. We actually had a couple of games last night, a trio of games last night. And Chris, you can bring that down just a little bit if you don't mind. Colts and Ravens got us kicked off at 24-16 Baltimore win. I don't even know why I said the score. The most important thing that happened here is Anthony Richardson got absolutely blasted early in this game. Hurt his, I believe it was his pinky finger, and he missed the rest of the game. And I think this is a decently big deal. A guy who has had trouble protecting himself, who cannot stay healthy, who is in a quarterback battle with, of all people, Daniel Jones, who went a whopping 10 of 21 last night, less than 50% passing for 144 yards in the loss. He's just running out of runway, man. There's been some positive reports. There's been some negative reports out of camp. And the quarterback battle in Indianapolis is absolute the story. For the Ravens, it's very simple. They're a health team. I believe Isaiah Likely's been banged up. So, can you get to the regular season healthy is the only thing that matters for the Baltimore Ravens. Bengals and Eagles. Joe Burrow was awesome. He looked like Joe Burrow. Jamar Chase also finding the end zone. And I think this is significant because the big story for the Bengals outside of their contract holdouts, Trey Hendrickson is still not practicing. The big story for the Bengals the last couple of years is how slowly they have started. It has been a nightmare for them to get out of the gates, and in that division specifically, it has been too much ground to make up at times. And last year, we know that they had the really, really nice surge late. They were alive entering the final day of the regular season after that dramatic Saturday night win. And then they didn't get the help they needed because Carson Wentz started for the Chiefs. The Broncos sent them into oblivion, and that was that for the Bengals season. They are intentionally playing more minutes in the preseason this year with their starters after kind of being the shot. Zach Taylor used to work for McVay. McVay never plays guys in the preseason, which we'll talk about more in a second. And so this is big for Baltimore for Cincinnati to have their starters come out, play well offensively, and look like the unit that we know they are going to be and they possibly could be from week one this year. Meanwhile, the Eagles, they're still tush pushing. They're still doing their thing. They won 34-27. It's the preseason. Scores don't matter. I know Pete Carroll was pretty upset with how the Raiders played. 23-23, they tied the Seahawks in the Geno Smith Bowl. Of course, Smith did not play. It was Aiden O'Connell, Cam Miller. Actually, Geno did play last night. He went 1 for 3 for 5 yards. Look at that. Did see Ashton Genty, 3 carries, -1. So not a good debut for the rookie there. Jalen Milroe has showed some flashes, 6 of 10 for 61 yards for Seattle. Also had 3 carries for 38, including a 27-yard scamper. I think the big thing for these two teams is obviously the quarterback play. Seattle spending the money on Sam Darnold in the offseason. Geno Smith, what can he bring to the Raiders? The Raiders are going to be frisky this year. Max Crosby and what they can do defensively is, I think, a big question. Obviously, Crosby's amazing, but what else they got on that side of the ball? And Ken Carroll, who has been one of the great defensive coaches of the last 2 decades in this league, can he, pull a rabbit out of his hat and make that into a defense that can do something? And then how good is the offense with Geno? You know that Pete's quite fond of Geno, which is why they make the trade for him. And you know they're going to lean on the rookie and Ashton Genty and try to get him the ball a ton and kind of play a complementary style. So I think that's going to be like the Raiders are a team that probably a little better than most people think going in because they were such a nightmare last year. But we'll see just how good the talent is going to be. 3 games tonight, including the Commanders, and then we'll take a look at the Saturday and Sunday games as well. Lions and Falcons tonight. I mean, the big thing for the Lions is, can they stop having dudes get hurt? They've had a couple of guys already go down in the preseason, and just, you know, I know they want to be physical, but the nature, like, I'm a little scared. Like, I'm not just trying to be alarmist by any stretch of the imagination, but there is a part of me that's like, this Lions team has been so good the last couple of years, and they do it playing such a physical brand of football. And it's a lot of the same guys. They have had pretty good continuity at a lot of spots. So can they stay healthy? Or are they kind of due for the year the 49ers had last year, where just everybody keeps getting banged up? And it seems like the cumulative physicality of multiple seasons of being the baddest dudes on the block actually winds up catching up with you. Like, you've just had too many fights. And that is obviously the question for Detroit, and then the coordinator stuff, which has been talked about ad nauseum. For the Falcons, hosting the Lions tonight, 7 o'clock at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, I think the obvious question is at quarterback. What does Michael Penix do in year 2 now that he is installed as the starter? The offense is built for and around him. And then defensively, I mean, can the Falcons ever have a pass rusher? They obviously drafted 2. Can either of them pop in their rookie seasons? Browns and Panthers, most notable maybe of the preseason week 1 slate, because everyone wants to see what Shedeur Sanders can do. Is he being set up to fail? I don't know. It feels like the silly thing that a sports television show that doesn't actually follow what's going on with any real vigor would ask. Like, he's getting the chance to start a preseason game. That means the best players that are healthy and available that the coaches want to play are going to play with him. To me, that's being set up to succeed. You don't game plan in the preseason. So it's not like he's getting screwed out. They just told him he was going to start late. Like, no. He's going to go out there with the best players that the Browns want to play in the preseason. And if he plays well, that's a huge data point for Kevin Stefanski to say, you're going to stay on this team. And for Andrew Berry, the GM, to be like, you're going to make this football team on a team where there are 4 quarterbacks who might make the opening day roster. And Dylan Gabriel, who is hurt right now, doesn't have that opportunity. This is a monster opportunity for Shedeur Sanders. And I just feel like there is no such thing. There can't be almost a such thing as an intelligent Shedeur Sanders conversation, because this is a guy who Mel Kiper was, yapping about being the best quarterback in the draft, but most other draft analysts had him as QB 2 or 3, and nobody thought he was going to fall all the way to the 5th round, and then he did. So, like, what is he as an NFL quarterback? Not as Colorado's quarterback, not as Deion's kid. Just very simply, what is Shedeur Sanders' NFL quarterback or NFL prospect? And we're going to get our first look at it tonight. And I'd be lying to you if I said I wasn't intrigued on a pure football level, because I do think there is talent there. Just how much? And is it enough to succeed in this league and to prove that he should be a backup behind Joe Flacco for this season and have a chance to maybe start in the long term for Cleveland? For Carolina, in the long term, obviously they're trying to see if what we saw at the end of last year for Bryce Young is real. I mean, it can be easy to forget because Bryce Young was such a punching bag, but my God, the last couple of weeks last year, he was good. That last week of the season, they played this wackadoodle game against the Atlanta Falcons, total shootout. He was awesome. And it seems like he's, after being benched midway through last year and watching Andy Dalton from the sideline and getting a chance to reset, that he's really found something. Canales obviously has a tremendous history with quarterbacks and on some level with quarterback reclamation projects. And so if Bryce Young is good, I still don't think Carolina will be good, but they will not be a team that you can just run over. And if they can get to 6-7 wins this year and get another good offseason, they made some solid moves this year and are continuing to build through the draft. If Tet McMillan winds up being a hit, et cetera, like they're maybe 2 years away if Bryce is the guy from being really good. And I also wonder if they can get away with not paying Bryce top quarterback money, like he and Stroud are obviously going to be extension eligible at the same time. Bryce is not going to get what CJ gets unless he's incredible this year. And CJ, I mean, even if CJ is good, like great, but if Bryce is incredible, maybe he gets back to that as a former number one guy who all of a sudden lives up to that. But I do wonder if in the long term, like if his slow start costs him a little bit of money on his second contract, and does that actually help the Panthers build a slightly better team around him? All right, we will roll through the Sunday games, and if we haven't talked about your team yet, we will next on the Hoffman Show here on the Team 980. But first, a look at what's trending. Coming up, more Commanders Patriots preview with our pick 6 at 6. That'll be, well, at 6 o'clock because that's how the pick 6 at 6 works. Right now, though, we continue with our trip around the NFL, looking at some of the top storylines, some of the things we're watching for in the preseason and kind of leading up into the regular season. We'll go to the Saturday and Sunday games now. We've already hit the games that happened last night and the games that will accompany Commanders and Patriots this evening. Giants and Bills. This one's obviously very important because we'll see it on Hard Knocks. Beyond that, I am curious to see some of the Giants, obviously, and how much they play. Like, is Jameis going to play? Is Russell Wilson going to play? Does either of them look good? And then Jackson Dart, the rookie. You'd imagine he is going to play. What does he look like as someone that we presume we'll see in the NFC East for years to come? If he's got any it to him. If he bombs out, well, then we're not going to see him. We're not going to see Brian Dable. We're not going to see Joe Shane. We're not going to see anybody. So definitely some intrigue for the Giants. In some ways, the most intriguing time of the year for the Giants to see how Jackson Dart performs, the rookie, in his debut. For the Bills, I doubt they're going to play a bunch of dudes. I think the Bills will be more interesting later in the preseason as we'll surely follow some of these storylines on Hard Knocks, get to know some of the guys towards the end of the roster. But their top guys are almost certainly not going to play at all, including the MVP, Josh Allen. Texans and Vikings. Obviously, if J.J. McCarthy is going to play, like, that's interesting. The Vikings, to me, are one of the most intriguing teams in the entire league. I mean, Kevin O'Connell last year turned Sam Darnold into a Pro Bowl caliber quarterback who played ridiculously good ball all year long. They obviously bonked in the playoffs, but that team won 14 games and had a chance to be the number 1 overall seed on the final night of the regular season. And then Darnold, to an extent, turned back into a pumpkin. But the consistency week in, week out that he was able to extract, the game plans he's able to build. There's been some mixed reports of McCarthy so far, and I would expect it to be a very up and down year. I do like J.J. McCarthy a lot. I think it's a perfect fit, but he's a rookie, and I don't think he's not a Jaden Daniels rookie. He did not play nearly the amount of snaps in college that Jaden did. I don't think he even played as much as like Drake May did or Caleb Williams did, who were more his age. And from a pass attempt standpoint, certainly not, because they ran the ball so much at Michigan. So it's going to be a steep learning curve. But with the offense they have, the defense they have, like the weaponry they have, I think that we are going to look at a very interesting Vikings team that's probably going to develop as the year goes. But we'll see when we get the first look at McCarthy in the preseason here in the next couple, or if it's on Sunday or Saturday, 4:00, or if it's later on. The Cowboys and Rams, not a whole lot here. I mean, if you haven't been following what's going on with the Rams, there is a ton of question marks around Matthew Stafford's back. The Rams keep saying this is nothing. It's not a big deal. Like, he's not practicing at all. Like, he's just doing stuff. And, the reports are like, oh, his back's really jacked up. The Rams say it's fine. I don't know. Nope, it's fine. McVay insists that he'll be ready for week 1 and there's no worries. But that is kind of how they do business out there from a PR standpoint. They say there's not a problem until there is. And the fact that Stafford hasn't thrown at all to Davante Adams, and you think of what Davante Adams does well, these slant routes, these back shoulder fades, those are precision timing routes. And do I think that 2 vets with as much football under their belt as those 2 can figure it out real quickly? Yes. Would I want them to get some reps in training camp? Hell yeah, I would, even if we know Sean McVay's never playing anybody of significance in a preseason game. I think on the Cowboy side of it, will Micah Parsons show up? He's not going to play, obviously. But, is he going to show up? He wasn't at practice most recently. Is Micah Parsons packed up and gone home? What are we doing on the Parsons front? And will Jerry Jones say something silly? Always a possibility. Tune in to find out on the next episode of them there Dallas Cowboys. All right, Steelers and Jags. Obviously, Rodgers is going to play. If you haven't heard, I think he's going to play a series. Maybe they wind up nixing that, but that is definitely interesting. And then the guy that is most interesting in this game, and perhaps the most interesting player on the season, arguably, is Travis Hunter, the top 5 overall pick last year's draft, number 2 overall pick, in fact, who's going to play both ways. He is going to play some receiver. He's going to play some DB. He's going to play both in this football game. I just want to see how it looks. Like, he's had a really good camp by all reports. Mike Jones did some great stuff earlier this week with us on Hunter and kind of the level of effort it's taking to get him to where he needs to be, of overcoming the fact that he can't be in two places at once on the practice field or in the meeting room. They're taking the time, and that's what you should do. Like, if you have a talent that's that special and it's going to take some special manicuring, like, take the time to do it. And that staff is, and it's more work, but the work they're hoping is worth it. We get the first glimpse of Travis Hunter Saturday night, 7 o'clock. Titans, Buccaneers. Will we see number 1 overall pick Cam Ward? He is almost certainly the starter. Will Levis got hurt, you may forget, or may have forgotten, or may have not even heard earlier in the preseason. So it is definitely earlier in training camp. So it definitely is Cam Ward's job in Tennessee. Obviously, the Buccaneers, a team that has proven multiple straight division titles. They just got to get to the regular season healthy. And then I am curious to see another offensive coordinator for Baker Mayfield. Can they continue to play at a high level? They are the overwhelming favorites in the NFC South. Jets and Packers. Packers, super intriguing. I don't think necessarily for this preseason, obviously. Jets, by the way, without Justin Fields, he's been banged up. But we'll see what they are in the regular season. I don't have a whole lot of file on them outside of can they get through a season relatively drama-free after the absolute nightmare of the last 2 seasons in the Aaron Rodgers experience. But the Packers, who know a little something about that, with Jordan Love, my thing that I'm watching for this season is what kind of playmaking does he do outside of structure? This is a guy that is a great athlete, like elite arm, one of the best arms in the sport. And he just doesn't really run that often. And so can he use his feet as a weapon, both as a runner and do some more stuff on the run? And then the other big question for them, and Matthew Golden is certainly someone they hope is going to help, the number 1 pick that they took this year out of Texas, the receiver. They need more guys that can beat man coverage because teams were able to man up against them last year and lock them down, make Jordan Love's life miserable. And especially you look at some of the pressures and things that Minnesota threw at them. That was a tough look for Jordan Love in a couple of those games. So what answers does Matt LaFleur have? I'm sure he will have schematic ones, but also sometimes man on man, it's just like, my guy's got to be better than your guy. The Packers guys need to be better on the outside this year. Chiefs and Cardinals. Cardinals, funkiest team in the league. Like, they could be terrible, absolute booty this year, or they could be good. If Kyler has a solid year, like, they've got some talent. Year 2 of Marvin Harrison. Year 1 didn't go nearly as well as I think a lot of us thought. And certainly what the hype was coming out of Ohio State, like this generational can't miss. And it's like, I'm pretty sure you missed if you took him over Malik Neighbors. Marvin Harrison Jr., chance to rectify that in year 2. Trey McBride still a stud at tight end. They've continued to tinker away at that defense. They signed Josh Sweat in the offseason. Cardinals are going to be kind of a spunky team. Chiefs, see you in the regular season. I don't got anything to say about the Chiefs that you don't already know. Broncos and 49ers. Obviously, year 2 of Bo Nix. Can he continue to grow on what he did last year? Can he take a little bit more load on? And then do some of the younger players that they've continued to bring in around him, specifically Omarion Hampton, how quickly can they get up and offensively support what is one of the best defenses in the league? Zach Allen signing an extension just a couple of weeks ago, or just a week ago. Maybe it was even earlier this week. What's a day? What's a week? I don't know. It's training camp. So we'll see what the Broncos, if they can repeat. On the 49ers front, obviously a big extension for Brock Purdy this offseason. Can they stay healthy? Can Ayuk get back? Can McCaffrey get back? And if they can, I just don't think a lot of NFL folks analysts have this as a top 10 offense because Kyle is that good of a schematic guy, that good of a play caller, that good of a play designer. And then defensively, with Robert Saleh back as the defensive coordinator, that to me is the unit to watch, maybe in that whole division this year. They were not what they have been defensively last year, and that was a huge part of why they failed, even maybe more so than the offensive injuries. Their offense still produced at a decent level. They couldn't get stops. And so revamp personnel, Saleh's back as the DC. Niners defense probably holds the key. Last but not least, Dolphins and Bears. I think, obviously, Caleb. Can he play good under control football? That's the question. Dolphins, is this it for Mike McDaniel? Like, I think that's a real question. The offense is a Ferrari. If it's working, it's fast, it's beautiful, and it can't be stopped. Problem is, it doesn't work very often. And that Tua having to be there and 100%, and Tyreek and Jalen Waddle. Like, if a piece goes missing, do they have more ways to overcome it this year? That is, I think, the huge question there. And then Saints and Chargers, Rashawn Slater going down this week for the Chargers. That is a huge, huge hit for that offensive line. So for a team that definitely wants to run the football, hit you with play action, and all that Jim Harbaugh stuff, can they put together an offensive line without Slater, their star left tackle, who just became one of the highest paid players at the position in the league? Can they put it together? That is going to be the question for the Chargers headed towards the regular season. If it's going to happen, rather sooner than later. So they have a couple weeks here to figure that out. And the Saints, I don't got anything for you on the Saints. They're not a good football team right now. I don't even know who's playing quarterback for them. So tonight or Sunday or on week 1. I don't know if they know yet. All right. That is our trip around the NFL. Some thoughts on each and every team. During the regular season, of course, we hit you with that and game picks during that segment. When we get back, another regular season staple makes its preseason return. Pick 6 at 6 time as we give us 6 players to watch tonight. Commanders versus Patriots. Final hour of the Hoffman Show here on the Team 980. We are live streaming on the Odyssey app, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, and on video. You can watch us on YouTube at the Team 980, where some of you are right now, including Phil, who is fired away in the comments and said that Cliff Kingsbury is at the Tom Brady statue reveal, which is kind of fun. That's a neat little tidbit. Of course, there was a very funny quote earlier this week from Mike Vrabel when he was asked what he remembers about Cliff as a player, and he said that he wasn't as good as Tom Brady. So now Cliff is there. Of course, Brady's former backup, as he has his statue revealed outside of Gillette Stadium. As for the players who will be participating inside tonight, let's get to our pick six at 6.
The 6 biggest Commander storylines.
It is caught!
Delivered at 6 o'clock sharp. It's the Pick 6 at 6.
We set out to find a leader, someone who could take this franchise to the next level and build an elite team that consistently competes for championships.
All right, so for those that are new to the show, that weren't with us last regular football season, here's how we do this on a Friday before a game. Normally, we are Friday before a Sunday. In this particular case, we are 90 minutes from kickoff. So we pick 6 players that we think are going to have the biggest impact on the game. We'll tweak that slightly today for preseason purposes. We then review the list on Monday to see how we did. During the regular season, we pick it would be Commanders or Patriots. It could be either one. It's just who do we think is going to have the biggest impact. Anthony loves to pick the coordinators, and I banned him from doing so because I feel like that's cheating. We also are not allowed to do quarterbacks during the regular season. However, preseason style, we're going to stick to just Commanders, and I will explain why I am intrigued to watch each of the following. Number 1, fire away on the Bill Nye the Science Guy soundbite. Bill. Yeah, Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. We can now get excited about Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, a.k.a. Bill. Why? Because they're going to try to tackle him for real. And this is not thud. You're not tackling him to the ground, so every run looks like a touchdown. Yes, those cuts were really cool, but what if he's just cutting into arm tackles and then he gets tackled? We don't know that yet. We're going to find out on some level tonight. And I still think that Brian Robinson winds up being the starting running back for this team. But if this guy's really, really good, it does change the equation. Obviously, if another team wants to trade for B-Rob, he's in the final year of his contract. I think that has to be on the table. You have to be able to trust Bill to be a workhorse back, and you have to trust him in not just the run game, but what can he do in the pass game? Can he catch the ball out of the backfield? Can he line up in multiple places? So I'm not just looking for what happens when they put Sam Hartman or Josh Johnson under center or in the gun and they hand the football to Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. I want to know what else he does tonight. So every snap that he is on the field is important, whether he's running a route, whether he's pass blocking, whether he is running the football. That's like the guy that I am most intrigued, as I am, we obviously have gotten to see him in camp. I haven't had a chance to go out there and see him in person, but now we all get to see him on TV against another jersey that is allowed to tackle him all the way to the ground. All right, number 2, Ben Sinnott. Yeah. What can I say about Ben Sinnott that hasn't already been said? Not much. JP and I, as in JP Finley, had a really good conversation about him in the 4 o'clock hour when Finley joined us. If you want to rewind and catch that or check out the podcast, just search The Hoffman Show or rewind in the Odyssey app. But Sinnott, his best usage this year is probably in supplement to Zach Ertz and proving that he is ready to take over in the long term. But Ertz has shown no signs of slowing down. So if Zach Ertz is going to be the Zach Ertz of last year, or the reports are he looks somehow even better, then you're not taking that guy off the field. So what is it that Sinnott does that is different than Ertz that can complement? And the ability to get vertically down the field is obviously one of them. If he can take on some blocking reps, that would be incredibly helpful. And I think the other thing, too, that I didn't mention earlier that just popped into my head now when I talk about the blocking is I think Adam Peters imagined Ben Sinnott as a Kyle Juszczyk type, meaning you're playing a lot more fullback. So yes, he's going to line up as a tight end. Yes, I think he can split out a little bit because of his speed and his athleticism. But can you get in the backfield and run some two-back stuff with Ben Sinnott lined up with his hand in the dirt, leading the way? That opens up some more play-action boot game for Jaden Daniels in the regular season. Like, that stuff is interesting to me. We will probably not see any of that tonight, but I am curious to see what Ben Sinnott does do for all of the obvious reasons. Third in our pick 6 at 6. I have a double here, which is allowed. I make the rules, but Anthony agreed to them. And Meadow Chris, unless you're going to say I cannot do two people that go together, I'm gonna do 2 people here.
Doesn't bother me in the slightest.
Excellent. You're an easy to work with fella. Luke McCaffrey and Jalen Lane. These 2 guys are making the team. And I feel like that is a statement that probably feels different if I'm like, Luke McCaffrey is making this team versus Jalen Lane is making this team. On Jalen Lane, 100% of people are going, duh. And on Luke McCaffrey, I don't know what the number is. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know, but I know it's not 100%. There are people that definitely think, fans that definitely think Luke McCaffrey doesn't belong on this team because I don't know, didn't do a bunch last year, and the reports out of training camp are not that he's setting the world on fire. But, like, no kidding. He was playing quarterback at Nebraska like 3-4 years ago. He is still learning the position. What has happened in training camp and in the spring this year is some of the athleticism that is there in the testing numbers. I don't know if people fully appreciate how good his testing numbers were at the combine, his pro day, and all that kind of stuff. That is starting to show on the field more. It's got to show on the field more than it is showing in the long term for him to be like a good NFL player. But he blocks his absolute face off in terms of effort. He is going to continue to get better at being a receiver. And so if he can go out there and make a couple of plays tonight, like, that helps his case really more so. And the reason I lump these 2 guys together is they are going to be fighting for snaps with each other. There's just only so many snaps available as a 4th receiver on a team, especially when you are going to have specific roles and responsibilities, because Debo is such a unique player. So how do they fit inside? How do they fit outside? Noah and Terry are mostly going to be on the outside, but you know they're going to want to move Terry around a little bit based off what they did last year. Again, all caveats being, his contract gets done, which we all think it eventually will. And so the Lane McCaffrey competition isn't like who's going to make the roster. It's how much do they play and what do those snaps look like and how much opportunity do they get to get their hands on the ball and use the special athleticism they have to help the Commanders score points. We'll get the first glimpse of that tonight, and I'm very excited to see it. Coming up next, I got 3 defensive. Actually, I have 4. I'm going to pull another double. But I got 3 defensive storylines. What offense to start in our pick 6. You got defense all the way down next to wrap up our pick 6 before we give you a preview from me and Logan coming up for all the positions, what we're looking for at every position, take command style at 6:30. That's all coming up, but first let's get an update on the latest to the world of women's sports presented by Wawa. Chicken how you want it at Wawa with customizable crispy or roasted chicken sandwiches. Hoffman Show. We are on the Team 980. We are on the Odyssey app as well. You can also check us out now on iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, and YouTube at the Team 980. Audio, video, however you want to check us out. We are here for you. Coming up at 6:30, maybe even a little bit before, about 10 minutes or so from now, we will hit you with a Take Command preview, position by position, what Logan and I are watching for tonight as the Commanders take on the Patriots. Right now, though, the back half of our Pick 6, and some of what we'll be talking about in more depth, Take Command in a few, are some of these players I'm about to mention, because the defensive side of the ball is maybe more interesting than the offensive side of the ball. The reason is, like, the passing game on the offensive side is the most similar practice to game, and especially joint practice to game. You know, the coverages are mixed up, in a joint practice, you're playing other teams, and the balls are mostly completed or not pretty cleanly. Like, guys are going to compete at the catch point. That's allowed. Of course, you're not going to blast anybody, but at the modern NFL, you're not blasting anybody anyway. And it might be hard to tell whether, like, that was a clean 20-yard gain or a clean 50-yard touchdown, when you tap up like the safeties do sometimes on those high crossing routes. But it's like, okay, that was a legit game. You can also have the relatively same amount of contact on, pass routes and pass coverage. So on the edges, especially in the passing game, it's as close to live as you can possibly be in the modern NFL with the rules that the PA and the league have established for practice in the passing game. The run game, and as a defender, it's a different story, because you have to be able, whether you're a perimeter player on the inside, like now it's time to tackle for real. How are you going to do that? How are you on your angles? How are you on your finishing? How are you on all of the things that go into playing actual football, not thud touch football like you do in practice? So with that gets us to number 4 in our Pick 6. The two guys that I'm most intrigued to see, who I think we'll see an absolute load of tonight, and that's Dominique Hampton and Kane Medrano, the two young linebackers. Hampton, the converted safety, Medrano, the safety-looking linebacker, who is an undrafted free agent out of UCLA, who has started to look really good in coverage, especially in practice the past couple of weeks, past couple of days, including in the practice in New England. Makes a couple of nice plays, covering running backs. He's got tremendous speed. He's a 4.4 type of guy, great athleticism. But the big knock on him is, what kind of tackler are you? And so now, in a live football game where he gets to tackle people, how does it look? I also think that you're going to see quite a bit of them, because the biggest guy that is like a disappointment that is not playing tonight is Jordan McGee. I think Javonte Jean-Baptiste, that's a bummer as well, but McGee is a guy that for 2 straight years now, we've heard they've got big plans for him. They've got a package. They want to try to use him more, maybe even spell Wagner every once in a while. Like, we've heard all these different machinations and possibilities, and he can't stay on the field and stay healthy. And I hate that for him. I'm not blaming him. It's football. Guys get hurt. It sucks. And without McGee there aren't a lot of other linebackers. Nick Bellore is a special teams guy. So you have this tremendous opportunity for these young guys to get a ton of reps, a ton of opportunity, a ton of experience in the preseason playing real football. And for Hampton, in that Mike linebacker role, which I think is a huge responsibility, obviously, to call the defense if he's got the green dot and the whole deal. And then for Medrano, what can you do out in space? And then also, do they wind up having somebody else play some Mike, let Hampton move off the ball? Like, what's the usage pattern for those two guys? I think it's a fascinating group of prospects, both of whom have shown real flashes throughout the offseason. So what do they do in a real-ish game tonight? We will find out. Number 5, a guy who was the talk of the first week of camp, Tyler Owens, was everywhere. Both in that he was playing safety and nickel and Buffalo nickel, and obviously he's a special teams demon. But he was also just making plays on the football nonstop. Pass breakups, interceptions. He's cutting stuff off. He's gotten big thumps in the run game. I want to see tonight both how they use him, and I think he's going to be a start. Like, he'll be on the field in the first 2 series in certain packages. He might be starting opposite of Percy Butler. I wonder if it's him or Jeremy Reeves. Does Reeves play tonight as a guy who's a vet and they know exactly what he is? Probably, because they probably want to get him some snaps on defense. and you need some guys to play. But Owens is a guy that has definitely, I think, done enough to carve out a role for himself in 2025 for the Commanders. The question is just how big of a role. What's it look like? Where is he when he's on the field? Is he playing safety? Is he playing in the nickel? I think Percy Butler, same question. Is he playing more safety? Is he playing in the nickel? So if you want to put Percy Butler on this line as well, I think that's definitely something to watch for tonight throughout the rest of the preseason and then on into the regular season. Last but not least is kind of a bigger point. I'm going to single out Kevon Seymour because he played some last year for the Commanders. He was a late season call-up, practice squad type of guy that when they had some other injuries at corner, they called him up. But he's another guy that's like kind of in that backup, like 11th DB special teams type of mix. Like I think I know who's making the team at corner and at safety, and I think it's going to be 11, and I think I know who they are. But one, it's football. Guys get hurt. Like you always got to keep an eye out for who the next guy up is. And two, like this guy's seems like he's going to steamroll right onto the practice squad again. But also, if he plays really well over the next couple of games, like, does he wind up getting signed to another roster? Because he's a really good special teams player. And that's the other thing to watch tonight. And the kind of the larger point I wanted to make is if there's a guy I didn't name or any of the guys that I did, they all, because, like, if you're playing tonight in the regular season, you are probably playing on special teams. So, while kickoffs are not necessarily the most exciting thing, you know, you're still getting back from getting your food or going to the bathroom or whatever. Punts, like who cares about punts? By the way, my annual pitch. We don't need Tressway to punt in the regular season or in the preseason. Go sign another punter and have him punt. I've asked Jay Gruden to do this back in the day. I've asked Ron Rivera to do this. I will now ask Dan Quinn. And there's not much those three men as football coaches have in common with their time in Washington. The one thing that they do have in common is that I have asked them to not have Tressway punt in the preseason. Anyway, now that my annual request for Tressway's well-being is over, who is out there covering kicks is really intriguing. Returning, like I don't know who's going to return tonight in the regular season. It's probably going to be some combination of Austin Eckler, Jalen Lane, and Deebo Samuel. Maybe Luke McCaffrey's in the mix, so maybe it's Jalen Lane and Luke McCaffrey tonight. Maybe it's someone completely different. We'll see if Jalen Lane returns punts tonight or if they put him on ice in that front for the regular season and let someone else get some reps at it, Luke or otherwise. But I do think that who is covering kicks tonight and who is blocking on kick coverage, who are your gunners, who are your like gunner protectors, if you will, the guys that are blocking on the outside, blocking the other team's gunners. Like those are really, really interesting tells on who has an upper hand in the special teams room, because that is how you decide between your fourth running back, your fourth tight end. Do we keep a third quarterback, or does one of these other guys have real special teams value? Are we going 5 or 6 receivers? Because I don't know, man. Like Michael Gallup is probably the right guy as a 6th receiver, but he doesn't play special teams. So maybe we just keep 5 and we keep someone else who plays teams. So whether it is Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, Ben Sinnott, Luke McCaffrey, Jalen Lane, Dominique Hampton, Kane Madrano, Tyler Owens, Kevon Seymour, all of these guys, throw Ben Nickel, like the backup safety in there, all these guys. I care more if I'm them about special teams tonight than almost, like, especially those like the Seymours, the Nichols, like those guys trying to fight their face off to make a practice squad. I am trying to stand out on special teams because I want the chance to continue to develop on offense or defense, and special teams is going to be my ticket first onto a practice squad, and then secondly onto a regular squad at some point in my future. All right, that is our pick 6 at 6. Again, we are now just over an hour from kickoff in New England. The game tonight's on WUSA 9 if you want to watch. Don't forget, a week from Monday, the 18th, the Commanders will play Monday Night Football against the Bengals. That'll be here in D.C., so that'll be a whole lot of fun to watch. Joe Buck and company coming to town for that. Of course, the last time the Commanders and Bengals played on Monday Night Football, slightly different stakes, as Jaden Daniels had that miracle coming out moment. Not miracle. What turned into a standard. This is what I do moment against the Bengals last year in Week 3 on Monday Night Football with that throw to Terry to seal the game. All right, when we get back, position by position, what Logan Paulson's looking for tonight, you'll hear it next on the Hoffman Show.
You're up.
Final half hour here on the team at 980. 7 o'clock BetMGM tonight, but 7:30. sure many of you are trying to be in front of your TVs to watch Commanders and Patriots. Logan Paulson there on the radio call. He and I chatted yesterday to go through the game on Take Command, and so we wrap up our preview here on the Hoffman Show with thoughts on everything we'll see tonight, position by position, quick and dirty. Commanders, Patriots preview for you on the Hoffman Show. Thanks again to John Keim for joining us again. For more from John, check out ESPN.com and, of course, the fantastic podcast, the John Keim Report. Now, Logan, we look ahead to the game tomorrow night in New England. You and John trading places, by the way. You leave. He's coming. He's already back from New England. So let's just go through position by position and look at one storyline, one battle, one player we're looking to watch. Quick and dirty game preview here on Take Command. Quarterback position, as John said, and as Dan Quinn at this point has told the world, like, it's the Sam Hartman and Josh Johnson show. I guess what we're really looking for is, like, does either of these guys play so well that you earn a QB3 spot? But I still think QB3 is going to have much more to do with what happens elsewhere on the roster than it is the performance of either of these two men.
Yeah, and I mean, I think if one of them absolutely plays out of their mind and looks like a guy, like a dude in preseason, maybe you keep 3 because you have to. You don't want him out of the organization or whatever. But yeah, man, I think it's just who plays well, and that's going to be easy. Everyone knows how to watch quarterback play. It'll be interesting to see how they allocate reps, who goes with kind of the quote unquote first group, who goes with the second group. But
that is interesting. Yeah,
that'll be kind of interesting to see how they see that. But I'm really excited for both those guys to kind of seize this opportunity and try to find a home on the team.
For sure. All right, running back, that's, I think, the most interesting position group in part, like, especially offensively, defensively, what we talked about with Kay Medrano, like, for all of these guys, can you tackle? Let's find out. Preseason tackling is always a little sloppy, but, like, let's see. For running backs, you spent the entire camp not being tackled. Now, are these actually 2-yard gains, or are these actually 20-yard gains when you're slithering through the line of scrimmage and scampering up the sideline? I'm guessing we don't see any B-Rob. I'm guessing we don't see any Eckler. McNichols, maybe. So then where does that leave us, and what are you looking for?
Yeah, I mean, I think this group's really interesting because there's also like 5 guys here. Obviously, there's C-Rod, there's McNichols, there's Merritt, there's Casimir Allen, and Felton too. And Felton, I think, is interesting because he can return kicks. So, like, does he kind of make a little spark for himself? Kaz, honestly, has looked really good the past couple of practices in terms of finding explosive opportunities, being patient as a runner. So does he kind of make a late roster push here for that special teams return? Maybe he gets in as like the third down back up to Eckler. If he's explosive, what is this, the 3rd year in a row he's been on the team, and every year it's kind of been like, can he figure it out? So I think that's compelling. I think C-Rod looks in amazing shape. He looks like very powerful, very strong, very quick. I expect him to have a great preseason, but I kind of thought the same thing last year. So we'll see if that holds true. And like you said, is Merritt the dude? I think we know what McNichols is, but Merritt has kind of this reputation so far, budding amongst at least the people on the beat. He's going to be the guy. So let's see it. And I think that's going to be why this group's so fun, because I think it's funny, all 5 of those guys have a shot at the roster in different capacities, which is kind of, you can't say that about every group.
For sure. I think the other thing that's so big for Bill is he played 1 game last year. Like, this is the first chance for him to play football in a long, long time because of the eligibility issue last year at Arizona. And again, it wasn't like he was hurt. So there's a lot of guys that, they get hurt earlier in their final college season. Then you haven't played in a while. For him, it's just like, you're just sitting there in practice and doing whatever you can do to help the team, waiting your time for the NFL. And so for him, he's probably going to be pretty juiced up to get out there in pads and get to do his thing. All right, wide receivers. Obviously, this might be the group we need to spend the most time on because, like we talked about with John, there's a lot of question marks here. Terry and Noah probably wouldn't play anyway. Debo's obviously not going to play, or I would think is not going to play. Yeah. Other than that, man, free for all. Let's go. Giddy up. Somebody make a play or 8.
I think that's the thing, right? Who makes the play, right? You got these 2 backup quarterbacks that are going to be playing a lot of minutes. We'll see what the offensive line situation looks like, but Luke McCaffrey, can you separate and kind of look like a 3rd-round pick? Like John talks about him as a pro and as a player, and he does everything the right way. He plays teams, he blocks, he's fastidious, he's there early. Can you actualize this? We've talked about his development from a quarterback to a receiver, how it's still a pretty short cycle so far, but can we make some plays? Like, KJ Osborne, can you assert yourself? Jacoby Jones, I think, is interesting too. Everyone talks about the other, what's his name?
Ja'Cory Brooks,
Ja'Cory
the
Brooks,
UDFA,
right?
but Jacoby Jones, veteran.
Well, he's a UFA also.
Sorry, yeah. Sorry,
right?
got him and Chris Moore backwards. Yeah.
Yeah, and so can we find a way to make some plays and kind of assert yourself? Because Jacoby Jones has flashed a little bit in practice, right? We talked about Mike Strachan with John. Like, there's talent here. You just need someone. Any of these guys, we could list all of them out. They all have the same critique. Can you just take a step and say, I'm the guy? Whether it's on teams, whether it's on offense, I need to see something. Like, think about a couple of great examples, like Bryson Tremaine, right? Bryson Tremaine a couple of years ago for this team, he came out, he did exactly what he was supposed to do. He was targeted 4 times, had 4 catches, made a tackle on teams, and you're like, that dude's in the organization now. This is the opportunity to do something like that. Even if you're not going to make the 53, even if you're not the 6th receiver, like, let's put a stamp on it. So every time you see a catch by a receiver in this game, it's significant in terms of them making the roster. So something to be dialed in on.
The other thing to watch is, are any of these guys impactful on special teams, and who's playing with what special teams units, which it sometimes is going to be hard, because if they just, I guess now with the kick returns being what they were changed to last year, you're going to see more returns. Although I wonder in the preseason if they're just like, let's not have giant collisions. Let's just boot the ball through the end zone. I could also see special teams coaches being like, no, we want to evaluate. Please make these kicks returnable. So that's like a fun little thing to keep an eye on. But then, like, who's running down? Who's making tackles? Who is out there, period? Like, it's going to be a quick, that we kind of infamously don't watch the tape of special teams. It's like, oh, next when we do our tape reviews. But this time it's like, okay, let me just go into the all 22 and see who's out there, because that could tell us some pecking order stuff that is a tell of who is where on the depth chart moving forward. All right, when we go to the tight end room, obviously I think a lot of people want to see Ben Sinnott. Like, can you go out there and make plays? Ertz not going to play, but Cole Turner like had a nice spring. We know Cager is hurt now, or sorry, Cager's still there, but what's his name? Tyree Jackson got hurt. It really does feel like the most significant question at tight end is like, how good is Ben Sinnott at this point?
I would totally agree, and that's kind of the thing I'm watching for. Is like, Colston has progressed. He looks good. Cole Turner has progressed in the run game, man. He's got a little snap. Like, there's been a progression for those two guys, and Ben looks better, but I want to see him in the game, lights on. Like, what's your process like? This should be an opportunity for you, with all of your athletic pedigree, with how you catch the football, with how physical you are, to look awesome, because there's not going to be a ton of game plan in. So play fast, play confident, and in this landscape of their limited playmakers at wide receiver at the moment, like, I should be able to assert myself and make some plays on the football here. So I think that's exactly right. I think we know exactly. I think we see an upward trajectory for Colson Yankoff. I think Cole Turner to a certain extent. And really, it's like, is Ben following that similar trajectory? Because he doesn't get a lot of touches in practice. He does good things. I'm not saying that he's having a bad camp or anything, but can he assert that he is ready for more responsibility in the offense?
That would be enormous for this offense, considering the caliber of athlete he is. All right, offensive line is tough because it's so scrambled. Obviously, if Connerly plays, that's a big data point. Would like to see that from the rookie, but if he is now in starting territory already with what he's done in the last few practices, and specifically the joint, where he most people said he had a pretty good day yesterday, maybe he doesn't wind up playing. So Chris Paul, I think, is definitely a name to watch. Who else are you keeping an eye on in this game?
Chris Paul, and then Foster Sorrell is another guy that I'm kind of keeping an eye on, because I think I like the stuff that he did when he was playing for the Chargers. He's a big dude, play tackle, guard. Like, where's he playing? And then obviously, the number 73, Trent Scott, like, where that all ends up shaking out between those. Because I think those are the guys that are kind of making that push for that 8th or 9th spot. And so whoever has a good game, like we saw this last year, right? Remember, Trent Scott came out and had a really good couple of games.
Dude, he was so good at guard. Like, that was the thing. It was like, oh God, we have to emergency play him at guard. And it turns out he should probably be playing guard.
Yeah, and played really well and made the team. So with this group specifically, because I think they're pretty close, like, who can kind of come out and be that dude, have a couple knockbacks, like the ball runs behind him for a big gain, third and long, we have a lockdown pass pro, we keep good pockets, we know who we're going to. Like, I think those are the guys. Obviously, Michael Dieter's another name I'd throw in there. I think with Allegretti playing center, I'm not sure if he's going to make the 53, but if he comes out and looks like a different guy, then there's a really good shot at it. So a couple of the names just throw out there. Tyree Phillips, that big dude. He's like 6'6", 340, big old hoss playing guard. Like, what does that look like for him? And then Good Jones. Those guys seem like longer shots to me. But again, like if you come out and you play well, this staff has shown they're willing to kind of give you more opportunity with good play.
For sure. All right, defensive line-wise, definitely some depth pieces. I hate that Javonte Jean-Baptiste didn't make the trip because he's a guy that I think would have been in. To me, like Jacob Martin might be the guy I'd put in the spotlight here. When Von Miller got signed, his roster chances became more precarious, obviously, as Von is going to be that outside linebacker defensive end type of role, but there could be room for two. You've said a bunch of times over the last couple of weeks when we've talked about this, like if you show signs of pass rush juice, you probably should be on the roster. And Jacob Martin has that. So he's my guy. Who else are you watching?
I think Jalen Holmes would be mine. We've talked about him, how much we like him. I think he's had a really solid camp, but he is like a tweener, right? He's not a true end. He's not a true interior player. Can he assert himself and say, like, no, I can be the big end if Dietrich Wise gets hurt, right? Can I do some of these things from a physicality standpoint? And then Andre Jones is a guy for me that I'm like, what do we got? You know what I mean? Like you're tall, you're long, you're competitive, you're tough.
Good teams player too. So like he's got that in his bag. So can you show that you're worth a roster spot defensively?
Yeah. So I think he's a guy that I would just circle here, just be like, what, can we do it? And then Vahimi Fehoko. I've always liked him since he was at San Jose State. He was in Dallas last year. He's here now. He's playing kind of interior pass rush guy. Like I just like the player. I like his makeup. But it's a long road for him to make the roster. But if you flash a little in preseason, who knows?
Yeah, for sure. There's some guys I think like Norrell Pollard. Like he's a guy that flashed last year. I know a little bit. They kept him around. He might be a practice squad again, but like can he earn that practice squad spot for a second straight year? Get a couple call ups during the season. So like it's a fun depth thing to see. And then obviously you have the vets: Carl Davis, Sheldon Day. Been around a long time. Played key roles for this team last year. Probably not going to make the team the way it's shaping up right now, but could one of them prove like, no, my veteran know-how is worth having around and make the team from go, nevertheless, a practice squad call-up situation.
All of a sudden, doesn't this group feel like locked? You know what I mean? Like the top 8 guys are just like, yeah, you're making the team. And then like now we're fighting for that 9th spot a little bit, which is interesting. It's interesting how that's changed. My perception of that has changed over the course of the offseason.
Yeah, for sure. All right, linebacker level. This position group is fascinating, man.
I'm really bummed Jordan's not going. I'm bummed.
Yeah, man. McGee. Without McGee, it's like, well, who's playing linebacker? Like, who's the Mike?
Yeah.
To start the game.
I mean, Dominique Hampton's been doing that in practice. So I don't know if you go Dominique Hampton, Kay Medrano, or if like Nick Bellore has a sneaky little linebacker. He doesn't do that a lot. So like,
no, he's like 30. Like I think he's older than me. Yeah, I'm 35.
He's a maniac on teams, man. Yeah. I don't even know. Like to me, he's like your best special teams guy. Maybe outside of Revo, even including he's awesome with teams.
I like the way that Standig put it in his roster breakdown. Like when he was doing a 53 projection, he didn't even put him at linebacker. He put 4 specialists on the team. Yeah, he's like, I have the long snapper, the kicker, the punter, and Nick Bellore.
Yep, I think that's a perfect way to characterize him. But then you get into like the second group of linebackers and who's going to be the practice squad guy, I think. And that's really interesting. It's like Cahill from UCLA, who was the 5-star recruit to Alabama, then transferred to UCLA. He's got this great background, and he's popped a little bit from a movement standpoint in practice. Obviously, he's working with the threes. What does he do with a larger role? Can he rush the passer? Those types of things. And then Cameron Arnold is like the most linebackery body you've ever seen in your life. Like, can he cover? And so, like, I do think they have 4 interesting pieces there. I think Hampton and Medrano are the guys you want to kind of attach your horse to and let them run and see what they can do, and they're going to be exciting. But I wouldn't be surprised if one of those guys has a good preseason, Cahill or Cam, and they kind of end up making the practice squad, or they're pushing for the roster by the end when it's all said and done. So we talked about keeping, if you got teams value, maybe we keep 6 linebackers, whatever it looks like. So we'll see.
I feel like Hampton and Medrano are going to play like at least a half, if not 3/4.
Probably 3/4. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're going to get plenty of opportunities to see how they can ball. All right. Secondary. I would think at this point, like Amos probably isn't even playing.
No.
Lattimore, Sainer still, those guys are going to be out. So you're looking at your Noah Igbinoghines, you're looking at the guys down. A guy like Carlin Vigors has flashed repeatedly.
Dude.
Can he make a play? And then obviously you're looking at some of the young safeties and kind of what they can do. A guy like this is the kind of thing where you hope a guy like Percy Butler dominates. Like, hey man, you're in your 4th year now. You have played quite a bit. He's had a good camp. You're a 4A player at least, right?
Yeah.
It's we've talked about this with you over the years. Like, you loved that 3rd or that 4th preseason game back in the day because you were the best player on the field, because you were a real NFL player playing against guys who were not quite real NFL players. Yeah. I want Percy Butler to Logan Paulson this thing up. That's what I want out of Percy in whatever time he gets at safety coming up tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, like, I'm looking at the depth chart, like, really sneaky deep group. Percy, Revo, they're probably going to start, right? Maybe Tyler Owens, awesome. And then, like, Ben Nichols has had a pretty good camp, turned the ball over a little bit. And then we've talked about Robert McDaniel as a guy from a body type standpoint that definitely fits the bill. So I'm excited to see all those guys, really, quite honestly. Yeah. And I think they're all going to, I mean, definitely the top 3 guys, Percy, Revo, Owens, I think are all going to play good ball. So to me, the interesting spot is like, Bobby Price, Kevin Seymour, more on teams. If one of those guys can really show out as like a gunner or something.
Yeah, like, Seymour's got a great reputation and history of doing that. So,
dude,
he's
he did something in practice the other day, and I was like, who the hell is that? He's just a big, fast DB.
Yeah.
And so those guys, traditionally, you put them at gunner, you say, go be big and fast, and they make teams. So that's one where it's kind of sneaky. I'm glad you brought up Carlin Vigors, because I think he's had an excellent camp so far. But how does he look when the lights are on Friday night?
We'll find out. You'll be there. You doing the radio this time around?
Radio. Yep.
All right.
Radio.
So if you want to listen to Logan, you can do that wherever the Commanders broadcast is. And then we'll recap it probably on Monday, unless something really bizarre happens. I don't think feel a strong need. Maybe we'll do something this weekend if we're bored. I don't think we need to do an instant reaction show for preseason game 1. If John Kime's not playing, we're not doing a show. That's I think how that goes.
It's going to be like 1 a.m. show.
Yeah. So when Logan is back and rested, we'll do a show. So that's why you subscribe, because it might hit your feeds on Sunday. We might just decide Sunday morning, let's knock it out and do it. Or we'll see you on Monday. So for Logan Paulson, I am Craig Hoffman. I'll be, of course, previewing this more on the radio show, 4 to 7, the Hoffman Show, recapping it next week, the whole deal. And then the Commanders are back at practice next week. They actually are switching to a regular season schedule. So they're starting to shift their mindset, and then we'll see if there's any other news with Terry or any of the other stuff that's going on as well. We'll keep an eye on that. All right, that's it. That's all. Thanks again to John Kime for joining us. For Logan, I'm Craig, and we will see you next time on Tape. Wrapping up here on the Team 980. This is the Hoffman Show. About 5 minutes to go. And then we got about 35. Well, no, because we break before the top of the hour because we have a commercial break because that's how that works. So we are about 40 minutes from kickoff in Foxborough. Commanders, Patriots tonight. And I'm definitely excited for this game. I think that, you spend so much time talking about it and so much time thinking about it all offseason long. You spend time going to offseason practices, training camp, the whole thing. And it's just fun to be back in season and to see these guys get after it and to see something that resembles real NFL football, even if we know this is preseason and it's not quite the same. But I think this is finally a point where it becomes slightly less hypothetical. We spend so much time talking about, well, what if this, what if that, what if this, what if that? And, well, the starters are not going to play. New England starters are not going to play. So many of the guys that are going to impact the winning and losing of the division and hopefully playoff games, and who knows how deep they can go for the Commanders this year, aren't going to be on the field. It's still fun to talk about this other stuff. Like, at the end of the day, it's the livelihood of these men and the women in the organization. But it is, for us, like, the reason we enjoy it because it's fun. Like, there's an entertainment value to it. And so to talk about the storylines, to get to know the people, to be able to root on the guy at the end of the roster who, for whatever reason, maybe you're a big Ben Nickel fan because he signed your kid's glove at camp when you yourself went out to training camp. And, like, this is your chance and your kid's chance to watch this guy play and try to make the football team. Whatever it is, nevertheless, your friends and family. If there's anybody out there listening that, personally knows someone on this football team, and you're having the chance tonight to see them go, like, this is fun. This is real life for these guys. And again, I said this off the top of the show, not to be dramatic about it, but, like, there's probably someone on the field for each of these games over the next 2 days, and some guys that played last night, that might be their final NFL football game, that this is it. They don't play particularly well, and they're never going to get the chance to play it again because they get cut after the first game, and the roster churn that happens. And you just hope it's for performance and not injury. And it's just, they gave it their best and it wasn't good enough, and they can hold their head high and say they tried their best. But it means a lot to a lot of people, even if for us it's just, as fans rooting for a team that's supposed to be pretty good, just another step in the process. Again, elsewhere tonight, the Mystics are playing the Lynx. That game will not be here on the Team 980 because it is an Ion game. All games on Monumental Sports Network, simulcast here on the Team 980 with Megan McPeak and Christy Winter-Scott. Elsewhere in the NFL tonight, Shedeur Sanders. That game is a 7 o'clock kickoff. So if you're looking to kill half an hour before the Commanders start, with all due respect to any of the pregame shows that are out there, Shedeur Sanders will be under center for the Cleveland Browns here in the next 10 minutes or so, assuming that game starts on time and whoever the Browns are playing doesn't go on some super long first drive and keep the ball out of Shedeur's hands. But that's definitely an interesting one to watch tonight too. Cleveland's quarterback situation is funky because obviously the Watson, basically dead contract, dead money is what it is. They're trying to be good this year, which is why Flacco is going to be the starter. But does Dylan Gabriel or Shedeur Sanders ultimately emerge as a potential future starter for them? That is, I think, the question. And will, Gabriel out with the injury, Shedeur getting the start tonight, that is something to watch for sure. As for the recap of everything, NFL and specifically Commanders and Patriots, we'll have live coverage, our live shows all weekend long. Metal Chris, when are you on this weekend? When are you hitting buttons over on 106.7 The Fan and here on the Team 980?
I will not be on Team 980 this weekend, but I will be on Sunday working 106.7 from 10 to 1 this weekend.
And who you got in the host chair?
No. I'm producing for 2 shows in a row.
Okay, I was saying who's hosting? Who do we
got Nick, Ashu, and I think Linnell is the first one, I think.
Okay, so you got Nick, you got Linnell. Love that. So those guys will have you this weekend, and we'll be back on Monday. We'll have Take Command early in the week as well. That's it. That's all. Chris, thanks for filling in, and we'll be back on Monday. We'll see you then. Have a great weekend.